The golden compass of Abubacar. Abubacar never thought that his life, so far a mixture of late-night study sessions, football matches with his mates, and half-finished plans for the future, would change with the arrival of a single envelope. It was a rainy Tuesday morning in London, the kind where the clouds seemed determined to drown every ounce of optimism out of the city. Abubacar had just returned from his usual jog, soaked despite his hood, when he noticed the envelope lying on the mat of his small flat. It was no ordinary envelope. It was wax-sealed with an intricate crest, a compass with golden rays pointing in every direction. Curiosity sparked in him. He tore it open. Inside was a letter written in elegant handwriting. To Abubacar Williams, by blood and by courage, you have been chosen. The Compass of Aramoor awaits, as it did your grandfather. Travel to Edinburgh, to the old town, where a map is hidden in the library vaults. Guard it with your life. Others already seek it. The adventure begins the moment you accept. At the bottom, the same golden compass symbol shone faintly, as if glowing with its own light. Abubacar sat heavily on his chair, his heart racing. His grandfather, who had vanished decades earlier under mysterious circumstances, was rarely spoken of by his family. Could this be connected? 2 days later, Abubacar found himself on a night train to Edinburgh, his rucksack stuffed with only the essentials: a notebook, a torch, a flask of water, and a cricket bat. He figured he might need protection, though he had no idea against what. The library was just as the letter had described, ancient, stone-walled, smelling of dust and secrets. When he slipped past the guard at midnight and crept into the restricted section, he discovered a small, iron box tucked behind a row of forgotten atlases. Inside was an old map of the world. Except it wasn't like any map he'd ever seen. The continents were familiar but altered, with strange islands where none should exist and markings of symbols, serpents, crowns, and glowing runes. Just as he lifted the map, the sound of boots echoed behind him. "Put it down, boy!" A voice growled. Abubacar spun around. A tall man in a black trench coat, his face hidden under a wide-brimmed hat, stepped out of the shadows. 2 more followed. Their eyes glimmered unnaturally, as though something inhuman burned inside them. "Who are you?" Abubacar demanded, gripping his cricket bat. "The ones who will take what should never belong to you," the man hissed. What followed was chaos. Abubacar bolted down the corridor, heart pounding, clutching the bag. The men chased him relentlessly, their footsteps echoing like thunder. Bursting into the rain-drenched street, he sprinted through the old town alleys, barely dodging their grasp. Just when he thought he would be caught, a cloaked figure pulled him into a hidden doorway. "Quiet," whispered a young woman with piercing green eyes. "If you want to live, follow me." The woman introduced herself as Selene, a guardian of knowledge. She explained that Abubacar's grandfather had once been the keeper of the compass, a mystical artifact said to guide its bearer not just through lands, but through fate itself. With the map in his possession, Abubacar had inherited the quest. "Why me?" he asked breathlessly. "Because you're the only one who can awaken it. And because the shadows are already hunting you." The map pulsed faintly in his hands, glowing golden. Suddenly, one of the mysterious markings lit up. An island in the middle of the Atlantic, invisible on modern maps. The compass was calling him. For the first time in his life, Abubacar felt something stir deep inside him, an urge for adventure, for danger, for discovery. The world, which had always seemed mapped and ordinary, was suddenly vast and untamed. Selene smiled. "Your journey has just begun." Within a week, Abubacar found himself aboard an old ship bound for the Atlantic, with Selene and a ragtag crew of treasure hunters, scholars, and wanderers. The sea was unforgiving, but his spirit was unshakable. Storms, betrayals, riddles carved into stone, and whispers of ancient guardians awaited him. But Abubacar was no longer just a 22-year-old Londoner. He was the heir of an unfinished legacy, the bearer of a map that could change the fate of humanity, and the chosen seeker of the golden Compass of Aramoor. And so, beneath stormy skies and stars unknown, his true adventure began. After weeks at sea, guided by the glowing map, Abubacar and Selene finally sighted it, the mysterious island that appeared on no modern chart. Rising out of the mist, its cliffs were carved with strange runes, and a single golden light pulsed from its heart, as though the island itself was alive. But the shadows, the men in black trench coats, had followed them. Their ship loomed behind, sails torn but unrelenting. "We need to get to the center before they do," Selene urged, pointing toward a dense jungle that stretched inland. The crew landed, their feet crunching on white sand, and plunged into the forest. Exotic birds screeched overhead, vines hung low, and ancient stone statues with broken faces seemed to watch their every step. Then came the whispers, faint at first, then louder, echoing through the trees. "Turn back! You are not worthy!" Abubacar shivered but pressed on. "It's just the island testing us," Selene said. "Keep going." At the island's heart lay a colossal stone temple. Its gates opened with a deep groan, as though recognizing Abubacar's presence. Inside was a single pedestal, and upon it the Compass of Aramoor, glowing like liquid sunlight. The shadows burst in. "It's ours!" their leader snarled. Before Abubacar could react, the compass lifted into the air. A booming voice filled the temple. "Only the one who seeks truth, not power, shall wield me. Prove your heart." The floor split, revealing 3 trials, a bridge of illusions, where every step tested courage, a chamber of mirrors, where one faced their darkest self, a pit of shadows, where fear itself became real. The shadow men tried first. Greedy, violent, they fell screaming into the abyss. Then Abubacar stepped forward. On the bridge, he kept his eyes ahead, whispering to himself, "I'm stronger than doubt." In the mirror chamber, he saw a version of himself giving up, living an ordinary, unfulfilled life, but he struck it down, declaring, "I choose to live with purpose." Finally, in the pit, where ghostly shadows clawed at him, he remembered his grandfather's smile, his friends, Selene's trust, and light burst from his chest, scattering the darkness. When the trials ended, the compass floated into his hands, warm and alive. With the compass, Abubacar felt energy surge through him, as though the universe itself had aligned. The shadows tried one last attack, but the compass shone brightly, banishing them into nothingness. Outside, the island began to shift. The ruins glowed, the skies cleared, and the whispers turned into a chorus of gratitude. "You've restored the balance," Selene said, smiling. "Your grandfather tried but was betrayed. Now his legacy is yours." The compass pulsed again and reshaped the map, showing not just hidden lands, but pathways of destiny. Abubacar realized it wasn't just a tool for adventure, but a guide for making choices that mattered, for finding meaning in life. Weeks later, back in London, Abubacar stood on the rooftop of his flat, the compass safe in his pocket. The city lights stretched before him, but for the first time, he didn't see London as ordinary. He saw it as the starting point of infinite journeys. Selene leaned on the railing beside him. "So, what now? A normal life?" Abubacar chuckled. "Normal? Not anymore. I've got a compass that shows me the impossible, and I intend to follow it." She grinned. "Good, because the world needs more seekers like you." The two shared a quiet laugh as the dawn painted the sky golden. Abubacar felt a deep peace settle in his heart. The trials were behind him, the compass was safe, and his life, once plain and predictable, was now filled with limitless horizons. And so, at just 22 years old, Abubacar became not just a young man from Britain, but a keeper of adventure, a bearer of legacy, and a seeker of wonder. The compass glowed faintly in his hands, as if whispering, "Your story has only just begun."